Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard continues.
Tiffany Henyard's political career has become a whirlwind of drama, controversy, and questionable decisions. Now, the so-called super mayor of Dothan is back in the headlines, this time with a brand new all-female slate of allies. It seems like a desperate attempt to hold on to power amid mounting scandals, ongoing federal investigations, and a rapidly sinking reputation. But here's the twist. This new team isn't just about fresh faces. It's about what they represent and whether it's enough to save Henyard from the political storm she stirred up. Buckle up. This story is as messy as it is entertaining.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for a comment.
Let's set the stage. Tiffany Henyard, who serves as both the mayor of Dothan and the Thornton Town supervisor, has been at the center of controversy since taking office. From accusations of financial mismanagement to a federal investigation into everything from taxpayer-funded luxury trips to questionable spending linked to her namesake charity, Henyard's reputation has taken hit after hit. Despite this, she's running for re-election, boldly positioning herself as the leader Dothan needs, even though many residents believe she's the last person qualified for the job. Her latest move? Assembling a so-called ragtag team of all women to join her in her bid to stay in power. On paper, it seems like a bold and empowering choice, but in reality, it's raising more questions than confidence. Critics argue that this team is less about qualifications and more about optics, a transparent attempt to distract from Henyard's growing list of scandals. Of course, Henyard's critics aren't buying into the hype surrounding her all-women team, dismissing it as a calculated ploy to manipulate public sentiment and bolster her increasingly fragile political standing. Some residents have even accused her of using these women as mere props in her larger strategy of distraction. If she thinks putting together a team of women will make us forget about the negative balance in the village's bank account, she's got another thing coming, one Dothan resident remarked during a heated town hall. This sentiment is mirrored on social media, where discussions about her team are filled with skepticism and humor. One user even sarcastically referred to Henyard's group as the super squad of excuses.
Jordan.
It's about democracy and it's about hypocrisy.
I really think it's very hypocritical.
Here's the twist. Henyard's strategy might actually work with some voters. By aligning herself with an all-female team, she's tapping into a narrative of empowerment and progress that could resonate with those who feel underrepresented in local politics. It's a clever move, especially in a climate where voters are increasingly drawn to candidates promising change and inclusivity. However, critics argue that Henyard's actions don't match her rhetoric. This isn't about empowerment, one political analyst said. It's about survival. Henyard knows her scandals have tarnished her reputation, and she's attempting to rebrand herself as a champion for women to divert attention from her controversies. What makes this even more interesting is the stark contrast between Henyard's public messaging and the reality of her leadership. While she's presenting her team as a group of capable women ready to transform Dothan, the village's residents are still grappling with the fallout from her administration's financial mismanagement. From unaccounted expenses to allegations of misusing taxpayer funds, these unresolved issues have left many wondering if Henyard's new team is nothing more than window dressing.
Again, no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral election.
Let's talk about this team. The lineup includes Linda Terrell, Tina Hughes, Jocelyn King, and Vanessa Wesco, all vying for key roles in Dothan's government under Henyard's leadership. Each member has their own unique background, but collectively, they're already facing plenty of scrutiny over their qualifications, or lack thereof. First up, Linda Terrell, described as a licensed educator with decades of experience in Illinois banking. However, her bio raises more questions than answers. She claims to have been a Dothan resident for 35 years, yet also states she's only been in Illinois for 30 years. Either she's discovered time travel, or someone forgot to proofread her bio. And don't get started on the grammatical errors in her credentials. It's a mess that only fuels the fire for critics who accuse Henyard of surrounding herself with unqualified allies. Then there's Jocelyn King, who claims to oversee 8 departments and a $20 million annual budget at Thornton Township. Overseer. The term alone has sparked plenty of eye rolls and sarcastic remarks online, with many questioning if it's just a fancy way of saying she occasionally stood in the same building as the departments she claims to supervise. King's vague and inflated credentials feel straight out of Henyard's playbook, making it hard not to wonder if the mayor herself had a hand in crafting her bio.
Well, she's one of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately. I'm talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard.
And all of social media.
And let's not forget the controversy surrounding Henyard's own background. Despite touting herself as the youngest and first female mayor of Dalton, her time in office has been marred by scandal. From allegations of embezzlement to reports of unaccounted-for funds, including the infamous $40,000 spent on Amazon purchases in a single day, Henyard's leadership has been anything but stable. Her office's finances were even investigated by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who uncovered a massive negative balance of over $35 million in the general fund. Yet, Henyard seems determined to push forward, assembling a new team in an attempt to deflect from the chaos she's left behind. Speaking of deflection, Henyard's critics have been vocal about their skepticism toward her new slate of allies. One commenter online summed it up perfectly. Anyone who would get on a ticket with her is deemed to be suspect. And honestly, can you blame them? Henyard's reputation is so damaged right now that aligning with her seems less like a strategic move and more like a professional disaster. Another commenter posed the question on everyone's mind: have I missed something? How in the world is this woman not in jail and running again? It's a valid point given the sheer volume of controversies surrounding Henyard, from accusations of voter suppression in Thornton Township to her alleged misuse of public funds.
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls herself.
Adding to the skepticism is the lack of transparency surrounding how Henyard selected her team. While most candidates typically highlight the vetting process or qualifications of their running mates, Henyard has remained silent about why these particular women were chosen. This has sparked speculation that loyalty, rather than competence, was the driving factor behind the selections. When your leadership is crumbling, you don't pick people who will challenge you. You pick people who will follow orders, said a political strategist familiar with Dalton politics. This perceived lack of merit-based selection has only fueled suspicions about whether Henyard's team has the qualifications to tackle the village's growing list of issues. But Henyard's allies aren't the only ones facing backlash. The mayor herself is still under fire for her handling of the Thornton Township Democratic Caucus, where she was unceremoniously removed from the ballot for township supervisor. Henyard has since filed lawsuits claiming the caucus was illegal and tainted with voter suppression. However, her critics argue that this is just another example of her tendency to cry foul whenever things don't go her way. State Senator Napoleon Harris, who chaired the caucus and ultimately secured the Democratic nomination for himself, dismissed Henyard's claims as baseless, calling her lawsuit garbage.
Of fights in Thornton Township and in Dalton, except in one case, Tiffany Henyard wants on a ballot, while in another, a Henyard ally was looking to keep her opponent off.
And yet, Henyard remains defiant. In her own words, "The people will put me on the ballot. But will they?" That's the million-dollar question as Dalton heads into its next election cycle. Henyard's challengers, including current village trustee Jason House, are positioning themselves as the ethical alternative to her scandal-plagued administration. House, a lifelong Dalton resident with 8 years of experience on the board, has pledged to prioritize ethics reform and restore trust in the community, two things that Henyard's administration has sorely lacked. To make matters even more complicated, Henyard's federal troubles show no signs of disappearing anytime soon. The ongoing investigation into her office has uncovered everything from lavish taxpayer-funded trips to a sparsely attended concert that somehow cost over $85,000. Add to that the fact that her cancer charity has been accused of failing to report how it spends its funds, and you're left with a politician who seems more focused on self-enrichment than serving her constituents.
Has this surprised you how much the viewership has gravitated towards this woman? Like, people from all over the world are talking about her.
At the end of the day, Henyard's political future depends on whether Dalton residents are willing to overlook her scandals and give her another chance. Her new team may help her project an image of change and progress, but for many, it feels like too little too late. As one local resident put it, the real business isn't being done because of all this nonsense. We need action. Somebody who's actually going to work for the people. So here's the big question. Can Tiffany Henyard and her all-women team turn things around, or is this just another chapter in a long saga of political chaos? Will Dalton voters see through the flashy bios and questionable credentials, or will they give her the benefit of the doubt? One thing is for sure, this election is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic in Dalton's history, and all eyes will be on Henyard to see if she sinks or swims. Let us know in the comments what you think about this super mayor and her new team. Do you believe in their vision, or is this just another political smokescreen? Share your thoughts below. The drama is far from over, and we'll be here to bring you the latest updates as the story continues to unfold. Stay tuned.